We are back on Get Up, and in case you are just getting up, we'll take you through some of the sights and sounds of the national championship game last night in Indianapolis. And Stetson Bennett had quite the performance. After a critical turnover, he bounced back huge. This in the fourth quarter with his team down. Look at the gorgeous 40-yard shot to Adonai Mitchell, who goes up and makes the gorgeous play on the ball. See the adjustment there from Mitchell. Goes up and gets it, gives Georgia a lead they would not relinquish. They go for the 2 and not get it, so the lead was only 1. Then later in the fourth, their defense gets a stop. Georgia gets it back. This is a third down play. That's Bennett, that's Brock Bowers, and they're not going to get him. Bama fans can't believe what they're seeing. The game turned just that fast. Georgia up 26-18. Bryce Young and company still had a chance, but here's where it would go. That's Kaylee Ringo with the play you dream about, a 79-yard pick six to ice the national championship game in the final minute. Georgia pulls away. If you didn't watch the game last night, it was much closer than the final score would appear. 33-18. The Georgia Bulldogs win their first national championship since the Herschel Walker days in 1980. And you see the emotion there from their quarterback, Stetson Bennett. He's the first walk-on to beat a Nick Saban coach team as the starting quarterback since Brian Griese did it for Michigan in '97. That's when Saban was coaching at Michigan State. Michigan also won the national title that year. And speaking of winning national titles, here's a man who knows all about that. Tim Tebow gets up with us early this morning. Tim, I appreciate it. I want to start with that because we didn't show it in that little smaller highlight, but we've talked about it a lot this morning. Stetson Bennett, after the critical turnover in the fourth quarter that could so easily have swung this game against his team, what does it say about him that he bounced back and made huge plays right after that?
That he's extremely resilient, and the mailman delivered again in the clutch. And I love what he said after the game. He said, "We weren't going to lose because of me." And he had in his interview 3 days ago, he had such a weight on his shoulder. He had such a burden on his shoulder. It's almost like he was living with the weight vest. And when they threw that touchdown to A.D. Mitchell, it's like someone took it off of him and Kirby Smart. There was such a burden on these young men to get over the hump. And I loved how focused, how intense they were. Listen, Kirby said after the game, we burned the ships. We were all in. When you talk to Jordan Davis, he said almost every day he did conditioning from December 4th to the game last night because he wanted to be ready for the moment. And I loved that Georgia didn't have to change their identity to win. They just enhanced it. They won it with physicality. They won it with defense. They bullied them around. And then when they needed Stetson Bennett, the mailman delivered once again. Incredible performance.
How about that defense? I mean, it was the best in the country all year long, and then Alabama shredded it in that SEC championship game. And suddenly, Tim, as you know, there were people questioning it, questioning the competition they played, all the rest of that. What is the legacy of that defense now after last night?
I think it's one of the best all time. I really believe that because they did it on the biggest stage against the Heisman Trophy winner, against Jamison didn't play the whole game, but against one of the best receivers we've seen in the last decade. And they improved so much from December 4th. December 4th, they were out-schemed, they were out-coached, they were outplayed. But they adapted, they improvised, they got better condition, and then they showed up and said, you know what, December 4th, that wasn't the real us, but we're going to show you our true identity. And they did it for 4 quarters over and over again. That's why I think they go down as one of the better defenses all time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said something about to me as you and I were chatting briefly before we came on the air here about maybe waking up a giant or something like that. What do you think could be the big picture result of last night?
Well, Greeny, Georgia has always been a great university with so much talent. It is a hotbed for talent. They've always had so much talent, but they've never won the big game. In my lifetime, they've never been able to get over that hump. I think with the win last night, for Georgia, they went from hope to belief. It went from, oh, maybe we can do it, to maybe we can do it every year or every other year. I think this program, what Kirby Smart is building, is going to be a contender for the next 10 years. I really believe that he's building something that is sustainable with all the recruits that they're bringing in, with the way that their team loves him, with the way that they love each other. I think it's building something special, and I think a sleeping giant was awakened.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes from here. And by the way, he also beats Nick Saban last night. And do you happen to know the answer to this question, Tim? Last night, Nick Saban loses a game as an outright underdog. They were the betting underdog. Do you know the last time a Nick Saban team lost a game in which they were the underdog?
I do remember that. It was against us in '08.
That is correct. It was against Tim Tebow in Florida in the SEC championship game in 2008. Thanks for getting up, my friend. It's great to see you. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.